52 in that time, so having a bit of a rough time in that period at 40% win percentage. She was doing all right against Terran, being 50%, 14 and 14. A little behind that was PvP, 16 and 20, and having a lot of hard time with Protoss versus Zerg at 6 and 18. If we look at since then, there we go, all the way up. Let's just remove these team games. And if we look here, okay. And if we look at the replay analysis there, 61 and 43, 58%, much better. If we look at the matchups, and we'll see PvT still her best at 70%. PvP, a big swing around 23 and 13. Excellent. Still having a lot of trouble with PvZ at 10 and 18. So we do want to pick up that PvZ. Unfortunately, as I was saying, this example, because of time constraints, will be PvP. So the composition we're going to see is a bit different. By no means is this perfect because I am really out of practice as Protoss, so we're going to see a lot of things. We're going to see bad chrono boosting out of me, too much energy building up, so that we'll see. You can feel good that you're out chrono boosting me. And this game is on Ohana. So we'll zoom through and see what happens, then we'll go back and explain why. Here I am in the bottom right, under my alias Durgs Burkle Schooner. Gotta go with the Durgs. I actually gas steal here, just because I can. I'm actually intending on playing a defensive robo move. So the reason I actually gas steal here is the natural inclination in response to that is to actually 4-gate, and I feel fine against 4-gate because I'm going robo. I should be able to hold a 4-gate with a robo, even though I screwed up my robo opening, so I probably would have died to a 4-gate, but never mind that. Both of us are expanding, actually expanding relatively early, which is fine, whatever. I have 3 Immortals out, which is actually better than he is. He's actually going Zealot Archon. So he actually has an observer here. I didn't actually know that. I didn't think he got robo because he never actually shot down my observer. That's kind of funny. Here's an engagement. We trade off. Goes pretty close. Probes help out for a second. Not too bad. Only killed a couple workers. Still doing all right. So taking a third now. Nice and safe. Go, adding on gateways. He's still on Zealot Archon, going to be moving out. Moves down the map, not able to do anything, actually taking a 4th here just because he has so many minerals banked up. I don't need to. Again, we're on 3 base. 3 base is enough to build a scary maxed army as Protoss. So as you're moving out, you want to take 4th. If you have the opportunity to take a 4th, like if he throws away units, you can do that as well. If you feel comfortable, go ahead. But don't feel obligated to rush a 4th because you can build up that army on 3 base. Again, if you feel uncomfortable, you can be harassing during this time to help deny a 4th from your opponent. So here we see some DTs going out, harassing. A lot of damage done here. Go, move in. Here comes the engagement. And that's the game. So what happened in this game? Let's go back here. So I was opening robo, okay? Now the idea here is to get out some Colossi, then get charge and add in Archons, basically is the idea. You don't really need Storm. Storm isn't really a thing you get in PvP. That is one difference in the Death Ball for PvP. You may or may not get it in ZVZ, and you always get it against Terran. So Storm is one variant, where you see all 3 variants of none, maybe, and always. So I didn't really have plans to get Storm in this game. I did have plans for getting Archons. I actually don't believe I got Charge in this game because it wasn't worth the gas based on timing, but forget that, you want Charge in your Death Ball. I just didn't end up getting it, so don't. It would have been better if I had, but there were specific reasons why I didn't, which we'll get into later. So I'm getting out Colossi nice and quick. Now I scout that he's going Zealot Archon, and that's why I need these Colossi. Colossi rip through Zealots. The only thing is that if your opponent gets through all of the support for the Colossi before there's a critical mass, they can start picking them off, which we will see in the engagement. My build wasn't great here, and then I didn't have enough gates and was supply blocked at a really bad time, so that's why this was even close. I should have crushed this if I had done my build better, because we see his supply is just way ahead, but my composition is excellent versus what he has, and the engagement is pretty good. See the force fields there, cut him off. Maybe want to cut a little more, but I have to avoid the Archons because the Archons break force fields. But here we go. So we see there, my army looked tiny compared to his, but look at what's left. This was what's left of his original army. These are all reinforcements. Again, I didn't have the gateways up in time, blah, blah, blah. So if you see Zealot Archon, you want Colossi. There's lots and lots of Colossi. Actually, most of the time in PvP, you just want lots and lots of Colossi. Archons help tank and do damage against charge lots when your opponent has a similarly good composition. Like if your opponent has has a similar number of Colossi as you, but you have Archons mixed in with your charge lots, you're going to win. So that is an advantage, but if he just has charge lot Archon and you have a lot of Colossi, you're going to crush him. So here we're actually going to see a little micro trick. My probes are attacking, but now here, once I'm blocking them off, I put them on hold position. Hold position workers don't have attack priority, so all these Zealots are trying to attack this Colossi. This Archon's trying to attack this Colossi, I think. It would be one of the two. So they can't get past the workers because it's screwing up the AI, basically. So you see they're running around doing nothing. So they all die and actually hardly lose anything in terms of workers. And if we look at the losses, he lost a lot more than I did in that engagement. He does end up picking off the one Colossi, which is really nice for him. But I'm fine. So basically, I should have had another observer out on the field, but I was just focusing on getting a lot of Colossi out, banking up way too much, as I said. Out of practice, not playing this very well. But we're focusing more on unit composition, and unit composition is entirely what wins me this game. So I'm behind in economy, behind in, but I do, not macroing the best, but I do have a great army composition. I add on 2 robos just because of how much I have banked and how good Colossi are against what my opponent is doing, who's sticking to this composition way too long. You can open up Zealot Archon in PvP, but it's a bit dangerous, and you have to transition. It's really mainly good for some sort of timing attack, like we saw from my opponent who pushed out after massing up enough. But it didn't work out, so now I'm in a good position. Taking a third, clear out the pylons, get a third, and skipped ahead a bit. Didn't mean to do that. So if we look at the workers, 61, that's a good number in PvP to stop at. You want a big army. You don't want too much wrapped up in workers because normally there's going to be one big battle and then maybe a big warp-in of Zealots to clean it up. Now you see a wall here. Normally you're only going to want a wall against Zerg, because they have Zerglings, melee units that can run by nice and quick. And you want to zone those out, adding cannons back here. The reason for the wall is to filter zealots. My opponent, again, going Zealot Archon, just sticking to this really well, and Zealots do really, really poorly in chokes. Just like Zerglings, they're melee units, so they have to get in close, which means they're best when they can get a big surround in a nice open area. So that's why I have to be careful in terms of how I move out, and that's why it's really helpful to have this choke point. I don't fully wall off because, honestly, I'd like for him to rush through this little gap and get, hit by my Colossi. He backs off, and we'll see here at this point is when I'm adding in Archons. It's a little later than I want, but I get a Dark Shrine because I am light on gas, and I don't need storms.